All's well at Paddington Station.
Yeah, platform 2, yeah?
With trains leaving and arriving every 3 minutes, it's one of the busiest stations in the UK. But keeping Paddington and its 2,000-mile route up and running is a constant battle. Much of it dates back to Victorian times. And down the line from Paddington is the famous Victorian rail tunnel at Chipping Sodbury.
Put yourself on there.
At 2.5 miles, it's the longest railway tunnel in England.
Hello mate, how's it going?
Trouble is, the 120-year-old tunnel is only 6.5 metres high and can't cope with today's large freight trains. They can't raise the tunnel roof, so they're going to have to lower the rail bed. It's a strictly timetable schedule of works that will close the line for 3 days.
Track renewal is pretty difficult anyway, even more difficult when we're working in a tunnel. It's pitch black throughout, being nearly 3 miles long, you can't see either end. It can be very disorientating, and you also have got no idea time of day. We've got no phone signal inside the tunnel, so we can't actually reach anyone.
The old tracks have been removed, so they get to work, laying down and smoothing the new ballast bed, 15 centimetres lower than before. Then it's the turn of special compacting machines called whackers.
These are the whackers here. So this is just about done. So when you see the difference after it's been whacked, it's like a billiard table.
Back at the Chipping Sodbury tunnel, a huge mobile crane is picking up 7 concrete sleepers at a time. And spacing them out perfectly before laying them onto the new track beds.
One G44 sleeper is 2.5 metres long, and when they're positioned, the 600mm spacing is measured from middle to middle, centre to centre.
They need to lay 1,800 sleepers along this 3/4 mile section. And they're only 24 hours into the 3-day job.
So my last report, they've done 20 chain, it's exactly 1/4 mile, yeah, 20 chain. But actually they've gone a bit further than that now. Yeah, that was an hour or so ago.
Today's work is going to schedule, but there's a lot more to do before their window closes in 48 hours' time.
Once the rail's been put in, more ballast is put on to help keep it fixed together. Tomorrow we can lift and move the track and put it in its final, or near enough its final design position. Can we go past now, mate, please?
Back below ground in Chipping Sodbury Tunnel, it's now day 2 of the tunnel work, and Kate Lough and her team have less than 48 hours to fix the new track in position. The rail they're using has a special coating that stops corrosion in damp environments like the tunnel.
There's our rail. There's 10 lengths of that, 216 metre Zenoco coated rail. Very expensive.
We just started installing the new rail, which is quite a difficult job because we're dealing with 216 metres pieces of rail, which are very, very pliable and movable. So as you can see, it looks like it's a piece of rubber being thimbled across. Not really what you'd expect from steel. That's why we maintain the exclusion zone. So as you can see, there's no one in there because the rail can just kick and flick. It's going to take sort of 3 goes up and down to get this over and into position. As you can see, the rail's just going to slot into them nicely now. And then it'll be clipped up and it's rigid steel then.
It's been a traumatic day for everyone on Paddington's western route. But underground, in the 2.5-mile tunnel at Chipping Sodbury, work is continuing apace.
So once the rail's been thimbled over, we then have to, we're going to call it plating up, join the two bits of rails together.
The rail has to be centred in exactly the right position, cut to the exact length.
It has to be in the centre of a sleeper bed, so we're cutting one end to make sure that we have that joint correct.
It's a painstaking process.
All they're doing is cutting the rails so that they sit flush together, and tomorrow we'll be welding them together. You can see this is number 3. After we've done this one, we've got 4 more pairs of rails to go in, and that'll be good news for us because it means we've got a track back installed and clipped up.
Deep underground in the Chipping Sodbury tunnel, they're doing the finishing touches of the 3-day track renewal. The last sections of rail are being cut to the exact size and welded together. Then it's the home straight. The track is fixed firmly in its final position.
Here we've got the housing, we've got the clip here, and the biscuit, and underneath we've got a pad. So this will then get pushed onto the rail and that will hold the rail in position. We're pretty much on programme at the moment to complete the 1,000-metre renewal that we're doing in the tunnel.
It will be handed back to the railway later. We'll do a follow-up to make sure it's in its correct position and it's consolidated as best as it can. Then we're pretty much done.
And it's also back to normal 115 miles down the track, where the 120-year-old Chipping Sodbury tunnel is once again open for business, with a 50-mile-an-hour speed restriction until the new rails are bedded in.